Welcome to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg.
All right, we're changing it up a little bit today. We're at our West Coast office in Newport Beach this morning, visiting with a great guest who's inspirational. He's a entrepreneur. He's a speaker, a mentor, and just a very interesting story. So Vick Tipnes, welcome to the I Own It show. It's really nice to have you this morning. And thank you for getting up early. I know it's a little bit later where you are, but it's bright and early where we are on the West Coast. And really appreciate you taking the time with us today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for you guys getting up early.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's par for the course with us. So wanted to get into your best-selling book. Did You Sell Your Soul?
Yep.
How did you pick the title?
How did I pick the title? I think I was watching a movie or something, and I saw somebody said it in a sentence, and I thought, wow, that really kind of captures kind of my whole book and my life story about, giving up a lot of things and making a lot of sacrifices for me to be able to obtain my desired goals in life. You know what I mean? So it fit perfectly.
Very nice. So what do you believe how they sell their souls? Explain what that means.
Well, I think, the premise of the book really is, some people go through life and they have a goal, they have a dream of what they want to accomplish. And at some point they decide through, adversity in life that they want to give up that goal, right? Maybe it's a family member or a friend that says, hey, you need to throw in the towel. Now you need to kind of sacrifice your life for your kids or your family or whatever. And you need to hang it up. And at that point, you kind of die a little bit, right? You kind of sell your soul a little bit. You're like, okay, so that once glimmery idea and goal that you had as a kid or a teenager is now like just poof, gone, right?
It leads me to being obsessed. And one thing you said, I've heard you say before, and I agree with you. I'm the same way. I am really obsessed about what I do and really focused. And I get criticized a lot from family, friends, you name it. And is that really what you're mentioning, is really focus and persistence and drive for what you really want to accomplish in life and not letting the distractors or the people around you tell you differently?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, part of being able to obtain your goal in life is being able to get rid of the distractions, right? Get rid of the things that are preventing you from getting to where you want to be. Everyone's got 24 hours in a day, but if you get up in the morning and you're spending 2 hours, on the phone arguing with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband, wife, whatever, or, drama with family or whatever, and if you're competing with me and I get up in the morning and I'm out the door at 7 a.m. and I'm just hitting it, right? I'm just grinding. You're never going to catch up to me. You're never going to catch up to me. So I think, wherever you want to get to in life, and if you have a competitor or somebody that you're trying to catch, right, you got to look at their work ethic and you got to look and see where they are. And if they're outworking you, I can promise you, you ain't going to catch up.
I agree with you. Like you emphasize happiness in a lot of your teachings. And I think it's overlooked by ambitious people. Could you share more about your philosophy about pursuing happiness?
Well, I don't know about happiness. I don't know if I actually promote I'm not a big kind of, hey, be happy guy. Like I don't believe in motivation. Like I'm not the guy that's like, yeah, you got to go get motivated. And like motivation is short-lived. right? It's short lived. You can go to a weekend seminar and get motivated. And then come Tuesday, you're sitting in bed with the sheet over your head because you can't handle life, right? Motivation died out. Happiness is short lived. Happiness is something that you get at the end of a cycle, right? You go buy a new car, you're happy, you accomplished a goal, or hey, I'm happy. It's momentary. So I'm not out there necessarily teaching or talking about trying to obtain happiness. I think what I'm out there trying to say is, if you have a life and a desired goal, what you're trying to accomplish, whatever your desired ideal scene is in life, the only way you're going to get there is through discipline. Because you're not going to wake up every day happy. And people that promote that, people that talk about, oh, you got to be in a state of happiness all the time, they're clueless people. Like you cannot be in a state of happiness all the time. Not that I'm I'm a very happy person because I've accomplished things in my life. So I don't necessarily wake up unhappy. But I don't wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. And I'm no, dude, like it's ridiculous. Like who does that? Like that's not real. It's not real. Like somebody tells me, oh, I'm happy all the time. I'm like, you're full of shit. Like you're not happy. Like you can't be happy all the time. So you have to think with duty. You have to think with your purpose, right? That's more what I'm about. What I teach more about is purpose. Like I'm all about, hey, what is your purpose? What are you trying to accomplish in life? And when you feel frizzled out and you feel drained, it's because you haven't really focused on your purpose. You kind of lost track of your purpose. So when you kind of, listen to a song or you have a conversation and you kind of rekindle, okay, what are you trying to do? Like sometimes I get tired, man. I'm tired. I'm working 14, 16-hour days and I'm tired. But when I get tired, I'm thinking, okay, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to accomplish in life? What is my purpose? I'm trying to create billions of dollars in wealth. I'm trying to create generational wealth. I want to take care of my family, my friends. I want to donate to my church. I want to donate to my community. I want to do all this stuff. I'm not just trying to, get, 1,000 likes on my post. Like I'm trying to, I have a bigger purpose in what I'm trying to obtain. So anytime that I personally feel, and what I encourage other people to do, when you start to feel like, hey, I'm out of gas, and you gotta rekindle that purpose. What are you trying? What are you here for? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, and I agree with you. I use the word, what's your mission in life, which is similar to purpose, is what are you waking up and being driven by? I think a lot of people, Vic, in my opinion, you're right, they don't have that purpose. They don't understand their mission. They don't wake up excited. You're right, you're not perfect. Every day is not going to be great, but you got to grind through it and you got to be persistent. And where I see people fall off and people say, well, what creates success? You don't have to be the smartest person in the world. You do have to be resource rich. You bring in the right resources for whatever business you're in. But at the end of the day, every day is not going to be perfect. And I agree with you. And you have to keep pushing forward. I think it's critical that people learn, find out what your mission is, find out what your purpose is. And then every day, if you're working within that purpose or that mission, that's where you have the energy. That's where you show up. That's where your persistence. And I see that a lot. And I don't know with your employees or my employees or other entrepreneurs that have businesses. I think when people are in jobs that aren't fulfilling that purpose or mission, I think I see a lot of times they struggle and they fall off a cliff. And you sit back and you ask, well, why didn't they work out? Well, because they're waking up and they're not driven. They're just doing it for the paycheck. And eventually get to a point where it's like, they don't want to do it anymore. And that's a challenge for everyone. Do you find that within your business?
Yeah, we have almost 400 employees, and so we're very big on rekindling people's purpose and what we're trying to do every single day. We actually have very, very little turnover. I think less than 2% of people leave. I think national average is like 28 to 33% turnover. So we have people focused and dedicated in the company to make sure that we're always rekindling people's purposes with our companies, because, as a healthcare company, it's, we're helping a lot of people every single day with their health. So we're always trying to, rekindle that with our employees. That, hey, what are we here for? What are we trying to do? We're trying to save people's lives, right? So we do that every day, man. It's never a day off. Never a day off.
What do you do? Like, it's very impressive, by the way, Vic, that you have such a low turnover rate. What's the secret? What are you doing out there that you could share that allows that? Because I think as all of us as business owners, we've tried to figure out different ways. How do we keep people? Like, for example, I like to overpay people. That's something I do. And so I'd love to hear from you to share, like, what do you do to minimize that turnover?
Well, just one thing that you can do that we do is we have an onboarding department. So we when we bring people in, we have an actual classroom that we take them through, and we actually walk them through the philosophy of the company, right? In addition to that, we have people watch a lot of my videos and my content because we want people that are in agreement with what we're trying to do, right? Like we don't make any bones about the fact that we're a very successful, very profitable healthcare company, and that we're here for profit, and we're capitalists, and we're here to make a fuck ton of money, right? And we're here to help a lot of people and save a lot of people's lives, right? And we're not like shy to say that. Where a lot of people in healthcare, which is, I'm kind of like a rogue healthcare guy because, most healthcare executives or CEOs or, don't have tattoos and, are flashy, right? Like you go to my Instagram and you see Bentley this and Rolls Royce this and all that stuff. And it's, oh my God, you're a healthcare entrepreneur. That's not what we do in healthcare. So I'm kind of changing the game in that aspect, right? And so what we want is like-minded individuals. Hey, look, if you have a problem with that, don't work here. And we're upfront about it day one. Like, hey, here's our Instagram. Here's what we're about. Here's what we're doing. Here's how we reward people. If you don't do good, we have a program. We have an academy that will help you in your job. But if you don't get better, you're out.
Right.
You're out. And so we don't tiptoe around any of that stuff. And I think that makes a big difference in companies in terms of culture, because everybody that's here is like-minded. They're like, hey, yeah, we're capitalists. We're here for profit. Oh, you don't want that? You don't like that? Don't work here. It's okay.
That's well said.
It's okay. You can go work anywhere else.
Yeah.
Just don't come into my company and try to change the culture, because we want everybody to be like, oh no, we're not, we're it's too much. We're making too much money, or we're too successful. It's like, no, dude. You're
preaching to the choir. I agree with you. I'm laughing.
We just don't deal with it.
Yeah, I agree. It's nice to talk to someone on the same level. It's refreshing. Tell me about Blackstone. So I believe you started out your kitchen. You're trying to figure out where you're going with things, and obviously I'm in healthcare real estate, so I know a little bit about healthcare. And you're now the largest home sleep study provider in the U.S. Yep. And I have neurologists and other tenants similar to that do things like this. What did you see when you were exploring this niche? What did you see? It was being underserved. How did it come about for you to get to this point?
Sure. Well, I've always looked at entrepreneurship in two different kind of categories. You have entrepreneurs that are inventors, and then you have entrepreneurs that takes a product or service and make it better. So I fall more into the category of, the Steve Jobs of the world, where they've taken a product and they made it better. Steve Jobs did not invent the cell phone. He didn't invent MP3 music. All he did was he took something that people were using and he made it better. Right? He made the design better. He made the fonts better. He made the ability to download music more seamlessly. And he solved a problem, right, in that aspect. So I think, if you're an entrepreneur listening to this podcast, I think you need to define which side of the sheet you're on. Are you an inventor, or are you someone that can take a product or service and make it better, right? So I'm the guy that takes a product, service, make it better. So I saw companies in the sleep testing market, and I saw that there were a lot of holes, and I saw a lot of opportunities where I thought that I could do a better job. And so I literally started with calling on doctors and knocking on doors every single day. And I was a sales rep. I had one employee. I had a 500 square foot office here in Tampa, Florida. And, it was a long road. I used, maxed out credit cards and, family and friends, and, raised some money, and, was almost bankrupt, twice. And I just continued to push the product and service that I really believed in, and fast forward, 10 years later, and we're now the largest in the country, probably if not the world. And, we service, almost 250,000 people a year, and you have almost 400 employees, and, we're in South America, and, we have, 20,000 square feet of office space here in Tampa. We have another 20,000 square feet in Colombia. So, we went from this 500 square foot office, 40 something thousand square feet. We have an office in Maryland. We're opening an office in Mexico City. We're looking at London and Italy also. So, when you have an entrepreneur that's focused on trying to make a product or service better, you can win pretty big with just that. You don't have to be this inventor of a service. There's a lot of people that are lazy that are in industries where there's a huge potential market for people to get into, and that's why I'm a big encourager of people to get into healthcare. I want more entrepreneurs to get into the healthcare space. There's just not enough.
Mm-hmm. You talked about failing, which I think is important of how it creates success and persistence, and what you just said. Talk to me about self-improvement. You started doing it in your 30s. How does what did that do for you? How did it mold you? What can you suggest people work on when they're younger to be able to achieve a certain point like yourself, where you're at in your life and your career?
Yeah, I think, the best investment I ever made was in me. That's the best investment. The best investment you can ever make is in yourself. I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars investing in myself. And, I came to the harsh reality in my 30s because I didn't feel that I was as successful as I should have been. Right. I felt that I was a smart enough individual. I had enough persistence. But something was holding me back. I knew that I should be a lot more successful than I was. And so at that point, I started a journey of just really kind of, discovering myself and figuring out, okay, what was I bad at that I needed to work on, right? And then finding the different avenues that could help me with that, right? Whether it was courses or this or counseling or whatever. And it was just like, okay, figuring out all the things that were wrong with me that I needed to fix, because I didn't want to be 50 years old and blaming, Jimmy and Sally that I wasn't where I wanted to be. Like I knew that wherever I was going to end up in life, it was because of my own decisions, right? And my own actions and my own ability or lack thereof. So people have to understand that. You have a lot of people that are just like, well, I'm not where I want to be. And I worked hard for 2 years and I don't have a Rolls Royce yet. I'm like, well, dude, if you're not where you want to be, I can tell you the only reason you're not there is because of you. Either you're not using enough intelligence or you're not using enough force. It's one or the other. And if you're not smart enough or you're lacking in a certain area, then you got to invest in yourself to get yourself to a better position to where, you can really hang. Otherwise it's, you're just never going to get there. You keep beating your head against a wall, wondering why, you're not making, $1 million a year or $5 million a year, whatever your number is. I can promise you it's not anybody else. It's you.
Yeah, I agree with you. We all have to own our own behavior, our actions, where we spend our time, who we surround ourselves with. The list goes on and on. Mm-hmm. What are you working on yourself? Like, what are some of the things that you had to work on when you were younger? And because I work on myself every day too. You and I have a lot in common. Tell me about what you were working on when you were younger. If you could share with everyone, what are some of the things you work on now, being at the level you've been able to achieve?
Well, I think everyone's going to start at a gradient, right? So maybe, I wanted to be a better communicator. So I started reading books about communication, how I can be a better communicator. That was very important to me because, as a salesperson and as an entrepreneur, you got to be able to communicate with your employees. You got to be able to communicate with your investors and with other people. So that was very important to me, is that I wanted to be the best communicator that I could possibly be. So I immersed myself in that. I did every every course, read every book, did everything that I could do to become a better communicator. And then, as I evolved as a businessman, because, I didn't go to college, I never took economics in school, blah, 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 blah. So, I was self-taught, but then I started to self-teach myself about, okay, I feel like I don't have a good grasp on the economics of business. I wanted to understand about balance sheets more and P&Ls more. So I met with the top of the top in those different areas. And I said, hey, can I pay you for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever to walk me through a balance sheet? Like literally understand a balance sheet. How does it work? What's important? What's not important? If I'm buying a company, what am I looking at? What should I look at? What should I not care about? All of these things are important. And as a businessman, you start building your business and you start increasing, you have to really be competent and you have to know all the different parts of your business, right? And that was very important to me. I'm not the type of guy where I feel like I need to know everything about my business, in the sense like, I can't schedule a patient. I don't know how the system works. It's not important because it's like Steve Jobs. He didn't know how to code, right? But I can find the best person to do that, right? But at a higher level, I need to understand the economics of my business and how it works and what's good and what's bad. So I highly recommend, entrepreneurs to not sit on their laurels as it relates to that. And if you feel like, hey, I need to know more about this, that again is making yourself better, right? Because you're going to make better decisions. If you understand your balance sheet better, are you not going to make better decisions? Of course you are. So those things are really important. And I don't think I ever stopped learning. I really consider myself a student every day. So whether it's getting around the right person, yesterday I had a friend of mine here is a very smart investment banker, and I'm picking his brain for, 2-3 hours, and we're talking about different things and I'm understanding different concepts, and that's all learning, man. Like you can't get to a point where you're just like, oh, I'm making money. I know everything. Like you don't.
Well, when you were younger, I mean, one of the lessons people should realize is you took action, just like successful entrepreneurs or businessmen do. You have to take action, and you have to be willing to fail, and you can't look back. You got to keep looking forward. And I like the self-improvement angle, because that's the way you can really keep your mind balanced and focused, and saying, why am I doing this? I got to keep pushing forward. I had a failure. Maybe a deal didn't work out the way I wanted to, or employee, or et cetera. You got to keep going. And I think a lot of people struggle with pulling the trigger, so to speak. Don't actually go out there and pull a trigger. I'm saying take action. And I know you agree with that. And I think it's something people struggle with, because they look at it, and if their mind's not right, and then they have to take action, and then all of a sudden they just kind of close up and they don't do anything. And then all of a sudden they look back and they say, well, they start regret and say, well, why didn't that happen? It reflects on what you said, is you have to look at yourself. You control your destiny. You control your own behavior. You control who you surround yourself, what you consume. And I think it's really the key of the self-improvement is really what you need to consistently work on in order to deal with life's challenges. With technology in the world, we're changing so fast, and information is coming at us so quickly. So if you can't handle yourself internally, you're not going to be able to project it out to the world either. So that's something I always recommend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are your goals this year with the company? Obviously it's growing, and it's a great niche. Healthcare is growing. What are the goals this upcoming year?
Well, there's a lot going on. We've got there's several companies we're opening up, healthcare companies, clinical research, medical centers. We are opening up our first healthcare fund for accredited and non-accredited investors. So people are going to be able to invest with me to buy healthcare companies. So that's going to be very exciting. And then also next year, I created an event called the RiseCon, the Rise Conference, where we're going to have 25 of the top world speakers here in Tampa, Florida. It's going to be a 3-day event. I can't give the names out, but I can tell you will know every single one of them. They're the biggest names on the planet. And they're going to be here at an event that I'm hosting June 15th through the 18th next year. So put that on your calendar. We're going to be making announcements in November. Tickets are going to go on sale, but it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic. It's going to be a life-changing event. I mean, the who's who will be there. There's going to be a lot of private jets at the Tampa airport.
What are you going to be teaching at the event? Like, why would someone go? What's the attraction?
Well, the attraction is you want to learn from the best. You want to learn from the best businessmen, entrepreneurs, relationship coaches, sports coaches, whoever, whatever field you're in, real estate, whatever. Who do you want to learn from? The average guy or the best of the best? Well, you're going to have the best of the best on the planet in one building. And they're going to be talking about what they've done to become successful. So, you can't beat that.
Going back and looking at where you started and where you are to date, what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome that you could look back and say, man, I'm grateful I went through that because I learned this, this, and this? Like, what was that, if you could share with everyone?
I think there's probably too many to mention. I think that I think the biggest thing that I'm grateful for, honestly, is that I was willing to take a chance and invest in myself and not just, pack it in and call it a day. I was willing to fight, and I was willing to confront the things I needed to handle in life to ultimately have a better life. I was married before, 12 years ago, had 2 kids, and I got divorced because I wasn't happy, and I was not in the position that I knew that I should be in. So I was willing to destroy all of that and start over again, and that was not an easy decision to make. But looking back, best decision I ever made in my life. Best, because I was with the wrong woman. She was a disaster. How did you transition? Obviously it's probably an emotional event to get divorced, and then you have your business and your ideas. How did you transition? Tell people, when you're going through dark days like that, how do you get through them? Obviously you look back now and you're saying, and we call it Monday morning quarterback decision, and say, man, that was a great decision. Look where I am now. I'm happier. I'm focused. My health is better, whatever is the outcome. How did you get through that challenge of those dark days when you're getting divorced? Honestly, I hate to say it, but it wasn't dark days. I mean, I saw a future. I was chasing a future. So I couldn't honestly tell you that it was like, oh my God, it's dark day. I had bad days. But I'm an optimistic person, and I'm like a rubber band, man. I bounce back really quick. So I was like, hey, I go to Chipotle and eat lunch. I was just like, how bad can it be? I got, I got my health. I got 2 arms, 2 legs. I was like, I was like, I can put one foot in front of the other and go. So I was never like in self-abasement. Like sorry for myself, dark cloud and shit. Like, dude, I could be in a hut in Somalia. That's a bad day. I agree with you. That's a bad day, dude. So there was no pity. I wasn't like, oh my God. I'm so like, no, I was like, well, dude, I'm not in I could be in a hut in Somalia with a fucking spear trying to like fend off some hogs trying to eat my dinner. I mean, that guy's having a bad day. I wasn't having a bad day. I'm trying to build a business, and I was losing money. Okay, cool. I mean, pick your poison, right? So for me, I saw a future. I was like, dude, I see a future. Like it was better. I didn't have anything. I had a mattress on the floor, and I had an apartment with no furniture, and I had an ex-wife that was suing me and all this type of stuff and whatever. And I was just like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get through it. And I got through it, and I kicked everybody's ass in the process. And became a winner in the end. And all those people that were like, oh, Vick is this and Vick is that, is like, now they want my autograph. And it's just like, but that's what happens.
Was that fuel? Like all of us entrepreneurs, like my fuel was, I had my in-laws telling me I wasn't good enough, or I had family or friends saying, you can't do that. What are you going to do? You're going to raise money. You're going to buy real estate when you're in your low 20s, and how are you going to get a loan? Like, I heard it all. Okay. And I'm sure you've heard before too. What's the fuel that said to Vick, you know what? Fuck them. I could do this and I can get through this, and I'm going to make this happen and be wildly successful. What fuels you or did fuel you in the past?
I've always been, I didn't realize it. I didn't realize how competitive I was when I was younger. I didn't really consider myself a competitive guy. But as I got older, and I would watch interviews of Michael Jordan, and he'd be like, he was like, yeah, I'm so competitive. And I'd be like, I don't understand it. Am I competitive? I didn't really get it. And then about a few years ago, I really started to understand it. And I really started to understand myself again, just through my own kind of spiritual journey. I was like, man, I'm actually very competitive. And so what has motivated me, and I didn't really understand it, but what has motivated me is like, I have a big chip on my shoulder. Like I know who I am and I know what I'm capable of. So when somebody doubts me, I'm like, dude, you're just on my fucking list now. Like I got a lot of people on my fucking list, and I have a memory like an elephant. So sometimes I'll be like, okay, you're on my list. You're on my list. And I got people in the social media world on my list, dude. They're on my list. And I guarantee you, I'm like, okay, there's gonna be a time where you're gonna be like, fuck. You know what I mean? So that drives me a lot, man. I have a list. I have a list.
I do too.
And I think it's healthy, man.
Yeah, it fuels you, and I thought I lost you for a sec. It does fuel you because you think back. I mean, one of the things I've done as I've matured is I figured out how to clear those experiences, and I think it's allowed me to get past certain type of chaos that's gone on in my life. So everyone know what I did. Feel free to call me and ask. So you write a book, right? And what were your expectations of the book when you're writing it? And what was it like? I mean, is it like you're so busy with, Blackstone, and now you're talking about a fund to buy healthcare properties, or healthcare companies, which I think is a phenomenal idea, Vick, by the way.
Yeah, nobody's done it, man. Nobody's done it, and we're gonna be looking to buy companies valued at over $500 million, $1 billion. No one's done it in the healthcare space. Obviously, some people have done it in the real estate space, but there really are no social media influencers that are in the healthcare space other than myself. They're actually putting themselves out there on social media. So I kind of feel like I'm a bit of a pioneer in that regard.
What were the expectations you had for your book, and what was it like? What was the journey like? Because you're so busy. How do you find the time? How does it happen? Walk me through like what you went through to write a book.
Sure. So, hold on. There you go. So, I wrote it myself, and I would just carve out time, in the evenings or wherever I had time in my schedule, and I would just write. I would knock out a chapter or half a chapter or whatever. And really, the reasoning for writing the book really was just, I wanted to put out what I went through in the hopes that it would help a person. Like that was really it. I was just like, somebody's going to pick up this book and read it, and hopefully it'll shape their life in some way, or maybe get them to think, or maybe get them not to give up on their hopes and dreams, because they're reading a story where this guy was like, dude, I was like, what? Like everyone in my city thought I was done. Like I was washed. Oh, he had some success when he was younger, but now they wrote me off. Like, oh yeah. But he was a has-been, and I didn't want to be a has-been. So, I think, what I'm trying to do is inspire somebody that's maybe in a similar situation that reads that book and is like, oh, you know what? He did it. I can do it.
Absolutely. Tell me about, I love when you pay it forward. I think that's a really good message. Explain to everyone what pay it forward means and why you do it and what's behind it. give everyone a little backdrop of why you do it.
I do it because I think the world needs it. I'm not the type of guy that just goes around giving shit away. Right. But there's times where I feel like it's warranted. And I feel like, it just makes somebody's day better to get a break, man. Like, I wish when I was broke and I had $78 to my name, somebody was like, hey, here's $100, and, but that didn't happen to me. but so now it's kind of cool to be able to say, hey, here's, like I did something with, MD Motivator, I did something with greatness. And we went and just, we started giving hundreds away and it just made people's day, man. One guy that we gave money to, he was 2 months behind on his car payment. He was going to lose his car and he was an Uber driver. So he was able to save his car, and he messaged me like 3 months later, like, hey man, I really like you saved my car. Like I'm still able to Uber and, feed my kids and all that type of stuff. So those things are important, man. I think if you hit a certain level of success, it's good to give back. I think giving back in that way is better than put my name on a building. I can write a check and get my name on a building, but what does that do?
Yeah, I agree with you. And how much did you spend when you funded the Starbucks drive-through? How much did that cost you for the day, for the pay it forward?
It was a lot.
I was wondering, I was like, how much do you think he spent? Like $5,000 for the day?
It was a lot. Well, it was coffee for everybody for the whole day.
I know. I didn't get the memo. I would have flown to Tampa and said, where's that Starbucks? I'm grabbing one. Well, that's good stuff. You're a real inspiration, Vick, and I love the way you handle yourself and your views, and I share your sentiment. I mean, I started from nothing, and I grew a company, and I'm the leader in what we do in healthcare. That's great. Real estate, and so it's inspiring, and keep inspiring people. And what's the best way to follow you? Like, how do people, like, obviously you have a book. What's the best way to kind of get in your space and your sphere to really, because you have great content and you have a great podcast as these little clips that they're short and sweet, and you can really gain a lot of knowledge. I like listening to them. I've heard a few of them. They're really outstanding.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, the best way to follow me is I'm on every platform. Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Spotify, Pinterest, you name it.
What have you learned from social media? I mean, obviously, you and I are not young guys. So
how old are you?
I'm 52.
Wow, man, you look great.
Well, thank you.
46.
Oh, well, you look good too. What do you do? Well, let's transition there. We'll get back to the social media. But what do you do for your health? You look very fit. What do you do?
I just take care of myself, man. I eat right. I take care of my skin. I don't think enough guys take care of their skin. I invest in myself and, light beds and this and that. And I just exercise. I work out 4 to 5 days a week. I don't really drink alcohol. I enjoy my whiskey and cigar every once in a while, but I don't usually drink. And I just take every opportunity that I can to just make sure I'm taking care of myself physically, because, I want to live another 100 years. So, which is feasible. I'm 46, so maybe I make it to 120 or something. But I don't want to be 89 years old fucking around with a cane and all that shit. Like I want to be able to roll. So I think it's important to really get yourself early. You don't want to wait till you're 55, 60 years old to then start, let me try to get myself in shape. So I try to do it earlier on. And I've always worked out. I've always been, physically active and stuff like that. But that's one thing I do. And the other thing, I keep myself very busy. Like I'm always busy. And I think that's a secret to youth, is just being busy. Like I'm always busy. I always got some shit going on. So I think that's very important. And I think that adds to youthfulness in life. Like when you're a little kid, you always have some shit going on.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's tough. It's, you have to stay busy. I agree with you. And, the fitness part for me and the health, I eat healthy, is it allows me to be able to get through the day, deal with the stresses, the ups and downs, and be able to stay focused. I think it's important that people realize if you have that routine of constantly improving your health, it adds a lot of benefits to your life and help create success with all the actions you have to take to have success, to have that ability to be healthy and the energy to get it done. So I agree with you. To go back to social media, okay, and you're all over the place, and it's great to see. It's inspiring to me as my brand is growing. What have you learned throughout the process of social media? You and I didn't grow up on social media. We didn't grow up on a computer. There was green ledger paper and stamps and envelopes. And like you did, look at when you started. I did the same thing with shoe leather. You went to a physician's office. How long did you sit there? A few hours? And you had no idea if the sale was going to go through or not. And that's what we had to do. I had to go and walk and tour properties. I would make an offer either through the mail or fax. And I could have been competing with 10, 20 different companies. I had no idea. Now it's just a different world. So what have you learned in this technology age as a young man?
I think, well, first of all, I think I should have started a lot younger. I wish I would have gotten on social media 10 years ago as opposed to 6 years ago. I highly encourage people to really double down on social media. People have to understand that, after 2008, when Lehman and all these other companies collapsed, people prefer today, in today's environment, to invest with an individual as opposed to a company. They want a person, right? And you look at Shark Tank, and what is really Shark Tank? It's a deal flow process, right? Where people want to do business with an individual as opposed to an entity, right? So I think, if you're a businessman in today's market, or a businesswoman, to be politically correct, it's like, you really need to double down on your brand. You really have to double down and be putting out content so people understand who you are, what you're about, so that people can do business with you. And if you don't do that, then you're kind of like a best kept secret. You may have all the qualities of a great business person. You may have a great product, but then nobody knows who you are. So I don't necessarily think it's always just the best product or service that wins. It's the one that's the most heavily known, right? So I wish for me that I had done it a lot sooner, and I would have been more invested in my brand sooner than later. And so I wish I had done that. But, having said that, I think it's probably one of the best investments I ever made, because not only does it help my company and my ability to grow, but I've been able to meet, a lot of amazing people. Obviously you and I have connected now. And I think that if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't be talking to you. Right. So all of those things are definitely positives from being on social media, but you got to be all in, man. It's a lot of work. So I have a whole team, and as you can see, we got a studio and we got all this stuff going on, and I've invested hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars into my personal brand because I feel like it's that important.
I agree with you. No, that's well said. Is there a certain platform that you prefer, you lean in towards, that you like, or you're just all over the board? What is there a preference?
Not really. I mean, I think Facebook, TikTok, Instagram are really the main ones. YouTube. I think they're all great platforms. We drop almost 350 pieces of content a week through all our various platforms. So we're heavy. I mean, we're heavy. Like, you see my face everywhere.
One of the things that you talk about that I want to go back and talk about, because I think it's so important, is when you're in a relationship and how you have to be focused. Like Vick can't be, and I'm not saying this as a chauvinist, but like everyone has a role in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And like, you're the breadwinner. Okay. Yeah. Let's not sugarcoat it. So am I.
Yeah.
Okay. And any relationship you have, there has to be that support and that give and take. So someone's going to support something that Vick maybe is not an expert in or isn't great, but you're an expert somewhere else, and you can come together and support each other. How important is that? Because a lot of people feel that, look, you have to focus and be obsessed if you want to be successful. You can't be doing laundry in the middle of the day. You can't be going and running errands throughout the day if you want to focus on your business. So talk about that and the balancing and how you see relationships, because I think it's fascinating. I think it's really important to share.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, and this is probably not popular with some people, but like, there's these posts that you see on Instagram where you have this girl and this guy, and it's like the girl saying, "Oh, we both hustle, we both wash dishes, we both cook, we both work," and I see that and I vomit in my mouth, because I'm like, dude, that is not a recipe for success. That is a recipe for failure. Like, people have to understand you have to have roles. Like a home is an organization, just like a business. So what if in my business I was doing all the jobs? How successful would we be if I was down in the bit? Because we all hustle. We're not. Like, we're not. It's a joke. And so people have to get over this thing where it's like we're all the same. We're not the same, and that's the beauty of life, right? Is that we're all different in many, many, many ways. And so I was I'm very much, an alpha guy, and I'm like, hey, dude, I want to work and I want to go conquer and go to battle. I'm not going to be at home doing dishes, and I'm not going to be at Home Depot on the weekends. I don't do that. I didn't know where my dishwasher was until about 8 months after I moved into my house. True story, because I don't waste time with that stuff. So when I met my wife, I was like, look, this is who I am. This is what I'm about. I want to create billions of dollars in wealth. I want to help a bunch of people. I want to donate millions of dollars to my community and help a lot of people. And I'm not going to do that by being a gardener on the weekends or going to Home Depot and working on a fucking project, or doing dishes. I'm just not that guy, and there's not, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I'm saying is there are roles, right? There are roles in life. I don't want that role.
Right.
I never wanted that role. Well, I don't want to waste 30 minutes doing something like that when I could be working on a bigger deal, right? Which is my responsibility.
That's not your mission. That's not your mission. Yeah. That's not who you want to be.
Yeah, that's my role. That's my role. My role is to produce, man. My role is to make it rain. My role is to say, when my wife says I need blah, okay, cool, write a check. Hey, we're going here. Okay, cool, let's go. That's my role. My role is not to make sure that we got, fucking salad dressing. This is not my role. So I don't make any bones about it, man. That's my life. And again, if that's not for you and that's not for the way you want to live your life, then don't. But this is my movie. It ain't your movie. So I'm the director of my own movie, and that's how I play it. And that's how I roll. And I think that it's a very successful formula. You've had it since medieval days. You had kings and queens, and people had their roles. And there wasn't this, hey, we're all the same, or we both hustle, we both cook, kumbaya shit. That doesn't work. It doesn't work, dude. People have to understand that. And the funny thing is, most women don't want that. Most women don't want that. You tell me we're all the same. So, okay, so you go out to dinner with a guy, you want him to pay. You're going to pay half the time? No, you're not.
I haven't seen that.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You ain't going to do that shit. You're like, hey, how come he ain't paying? Right? So everybody's got a role, man, and people got to get over this BS of like, oh, well, there's no roles, and no, dude, there's roles. That's how things work. Sorry to tell you, but that's how things work, and that's how things get done, by having roles and having responsibilities. And so my wife knows that, hey, in our house, everything that happens in those four walls is her responsibility. I don't deal with none of that shit. She has staff, she has help, she has nannies. I don't know about none of that shit. What my job is? Make sure everybody gets fucking paid every 2 weeks. That's my job. If I'm doing my job, then life is good. Yeah, life is good. But I don't come home and it's like, hey, I need you to go run and get milk and all that shit. That ain't my fucking job. Just like it's not her job to be like, hey, well, we don't have enough money for payroll, so I need you to go and borrow $50 from Johnny. That ain't her job. Right. So when you have that kind of responsibility, it makes such a huge difference, and it's a win-win, man. My wife and I don't argue. We haven't argued in the 3 years we've been together. Never had an argument. People are like, "Hey, how come you guys don't have an argument?" No, dude, because she knows her role and I know mine, and her role is equally as important as mine.
See, that's important. The key. You just said it, and I think everyone should know that. You respect her role. She respects your role.
Yeah.
You're not short-sighting and saying, "Oh, well, look at me. I got to run this company." And
no,
you take the other way. You're like, "Look, I value you. You're running the house. You're doing a great job, and I got to do my thing." And that's one of the things you could teach everyone out there is that, focus is focusing on what you want to achieve. Don't let the little minutia tasks drive your time. A lot of people, what I see in success, Vic, and where they're unsuccessful is that they find an excuse like, well, I got to go get my car washed in the middle of the day, or got to go get my hair done, or whatever. And then they sit back and they complain like, why am I not wealthy? Why am I not successful?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? If you had taken those moments, and there's thousands in a year that we do, and we always gravitate to when something's easy. And if you could say, you know what, I don't want to do this, that's when you should be doing it. And I think people gravitate to, what's really easy, and I'm going to do that. And then they look back and they say, well, why am I not successful? Why am I living paycheck to paycheck? Well, look at all the little things you do in life. And I say, where are you bullshitting yourself? Where are you fucking off that during the day that you're saying, well, I'm not successful. Track every 15, what we do with our employees, which I think is so powerful. I don't know if you do this, is once in a while we say, show me for 2 weeks, every 15 minutes you're doing during the day. It is so telling to who the person is and what they're doing. And then you look at their KPIs and say, well, why aren't they hitting them? Well, go look at what you're doing during the day. There's no way you would ever even think about hitting.
Yeah. Well, look, there's two things. Number one, so I tell my wife all the time, I wouldn't be where I am without her because she allows me, because she handles everything in the household for me to be able to focus on work. Right. So I'm not coming home, with a problem all the time. Like she makes it a relaxing, comfortable environment, and she handles and she plays her role as the queen of the household. Right. So I wouldn't be like the day after I met her, dude, I grew. I mean, I've always grown every year. Right. But prior to her, I was, in and out of relationships and all this stuff, didn't have a stable environment. I met her, dude, I grew 276% in 3 years.
That's fantastic. Okay.
Crazy. So she's like my lucky charm because she just provides such a great environment and she understands her role. Right. So that's an important part. The other thing is, like what you're talking about with managing things. So in certain departments, we actually manage hour to hour every day. Like we don't do it every once in a while. We manage certain departments in our company hour to hour. So we know exactly what's going on. We're that obsessed with where we're trying to get to. Like we're just not fucking around with it.
What's the tracking mechanism to do hour to hour? Because that's really unique.
So, we know that there's certain metrics that a salesperson should hit at the end of the day. So let's say that you have, salesperson John, and he's supposed to sell 50 customers in a day, right? And that's what he's done consistently. So every hour we know that should be, let's say, three every hour. So every hour we have a quality person that goes around and makes sure that, hey, okay, where is he at? So if in 2 hours he's only at 2, we know there's a problem. And then we fix it there. We fix it right there. We don't wait until the end of the day to find out, well, Johnny was supposed to sell 50 customers and he only sold 20. And that's why we have the highest conversion in the industry. We convert almost 80% of every single patient we get in because we're managing everything hour to hour. We're not waiting till the end of the day to find out, oh shit, somebody shit the bed and they didn't get the numbers that they should have gotten. So we're managing it hour to hour. So certain departments that we have in the company that are time sensitive, where we know that we can very quickly influence or change or alter where that person's going. We do that.
Okay. So we'll wrap it up because you're a busy guy and you got to get going in your day. It's 3 hours ahead of us. we always wrap up with 3 questions, Vic, and I'm excited to hear your answers. No right or wrong. It's just fascinating when you see different people's viewpoints.
Yeah.
So you're now, you said 46 years old?
Yeah.
You look a lot younger, by the way. So you're 46 years old.
I shaved. My wife didn't like I shaved. I shaved over the weekend.
I think if you shaved, you probably look like your late 30s.
Yeah.
So it's, you know what, that good for you that you look so young. So if we in our studio, we have a couch and you're laying on the couch and I'm talking to you. And I said, Vic, roll back time to when you were 16 years old.
Yeah. Okay.
What would you tell yourself now, being who you are and what you've been through? To give advice, what would you tell yourself at 16 years old?
That you were right all along. That you should never have listened to all the people that were trying to steer you into different directions, and that the power that you had within yourself at that age, that you knew you were different, you knew you were special, you were correct.
If you could go back in your 20s and worked on yourself, can you imagine where you would be right now?
Oh, I'd be.
You just
15 years, for sure.
Yeah.
No, if I didn't fuck around for 15 years of my life, with being in relationships and all that stuff that I knew I shouldn't have been in, that I was, kind of cultured into and all that type of stuff. Nah, dude.
It's amazing what women can do.
Well, women and family and friends.
Yeah.
Women and family and friends, man, because you don't know any better. You think they're telling you the things that are good for you, and you don't have the life experience to know that they're not. So you get kind of sidetracked and you make bad decisions, and those bad decisions add up. And then one day you look up and you're like, where the hell am I? And that's what happened to me. So it wasn't just the wrong woman. It was a host of things. And I woke up one morning, I'm like, dude, where am I? This is not what I wanted.
Did you feel when you were younger, the entrepreneurial spirit? I know when I was younger, it wasn't really like out there and taught and common. And it's such an advantage for this generation with technology and social media to really gravitate to become an entrepreneur. For you, was there something that kind of said, I am an entrepreneur. I'm not going to go work and get a salary or an hourly wage. I'm going to become that entrepreneur.
I mean, yeah, I think I knew it like around 8, 9 years old. I just knew that I wasn't going to go to college. I knew that I was going to make my own way. I didn't know what it would be, but I knew that I was going to make my own way in life, and that I was going to hit a level of success. I remember just, writing my signature because I thought I was going to be famous. So like stupid shit like that. So I remember just being very carefree. I actually didn't I didn't worry about my future. I just knew I was going to be rich. That I knew. I was like, at some point I'm going to be rich because I'm a persistent son of a bitch. So at some point I'm going to get there. And I just knew that. But I didn't know the vehicle, right? What was the vehicle that was going to get me there? So that was the thing. So my hurdle in life was trying to find the right vehicle. What was the vehicle that was going to get me to where I wanted to be?
Well, healthcare is great because the human body is never going out of style.
I agree.
Never will.
Yeah, never.
So it's your last day on earth, God forbid. We're about to eat. What are we eating? It's your choice.
I'm eating at Fleming's. I'm having a bone-in ribeye.
Okay.
With the potatoes and the cream spinach.
Wow, you're really going for it.
I just had it last night. So
did you really?
Yeah.
We went doing okay. Are you tired?
Yeah, I feel great.
What are you walking that down with?
we're celebrating my chief of staff's birthday last night. Oh. So I had an Angel's Envy. I'm a big whiskey guy, so I had a whiskey with a King Cube and had dessert. By the way,
that King Cube is a scam, and you know it. It's all right. It's physics. It's they pour it over and then it's less, and it's such it looks nice, but it's such a joke.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's just I look at it and I see it, I go, God, that's such a scam. I remember when it came out, I was like, the volume of the glass is being disrupted. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good thing for restaurateurs and bars, though, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, they make it good.
In our I Own It studio, which you don't see, we have a grand piano, a drum set, and guitars. And if we're sitting in my studio, and by the way, you are always welcome to come to Laguna Beach, and I'm happy.
I definitely want to come out there, man. I've never been to Laguna Beach, and I want to go. So
it is
when I come out there, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you let me know, you'll be my guest. And if we were in the studio, if you wanted a musician or a band to play for us, they could be deceased or still living, and they could play us a song. Who would you want to play us a song if you're in the studio with me?
Probably John Mayer.
Okay. Good choice.
John Mayer, man.
There's a certain song he's going to play for.
Well, actually, no. Elvis.
Elvis? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Elvis is the
like
man.
A younger Elvis, an older Elvis?
Elvis, good looking, charismatic Elvis, man. That guy was the GOAT, dude.
Oh yeah.
That guy was amazing, man.
Talking about an entrepreneur. I mean, that guy was way above his time.
All these artists today, dude, they can't hold a candle to these older artists like George Michael and Elvis and Michael Jackson. Like, none of them, dude. Like, there's no singer today around that really has a great voice. There's a few, but not the total package, man. I mean, guys like Elvis and George, they're a total package, dude. They had the looks, they had the charisma, they had the style. They could actually fucking sing without auto tunes. I mean, who has that today?
Nobody. No one does.
Nobody. Say nobody.
So I want to tell our audience, go get his book. Did you sell your soul? And I definitely encourage you to follow Vick. He's got some great tips. And I think part of it with the foundation is if you're ever feeling like you can't pull a trigger or take action or discouraged, go listen to a few of his clips on his website. They're really good content. I could tell you from someone that's been wildly successful, and I'm a little bit older than Vick, he has great content and it's inspiring. And I encourage you that you continue to follow him because he's only getting better. He's at the point now where he's in the prime of his career. So I would imagine the content's going to get stronger and stronger because he's going to have more lessons to provide as he becomes even more successful. So definitely check him out. If you're interested in following the I Own It podcast, kick the right-hand button and click subscribe. If you're interested in commercial real estate and learning how to invest in our new fund, the Alliance Medical Fund, feel free to go to alliancecgc.com. And to follow me and to learn more about me and how I can provide value to you in your life, go to benreinberg.com, and you can follow me on all the social media platforms as well. Vick Tipnes, it is so nice to see you. You're a real treat and pleasure to talk to. And thank you for doing what you do. And thank you for sharing with people and paying it forward and really being a good role model for what success looks like and how to live a great balanced life. And to overcome obstacles and challenges. So thank you for sharing, and I appreciate it. And thanks for coming on today. And I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it, man. And thank you for all the kind words, and thank you for having me on the show. And let's hook up when I'm in Laguna.
Absolutely.
You're in Tampa, and definitely.
I come to Tampa frequently because actually we have a closing this Friday. We're buying 4 dermatology buildings in Tampa.
Oh, so nice. Yeah, definitely hit me up.
I will. I'll definitely hit you up. I'm going to have Bria, who runs my podcast, I'm going to have her get your information and cell phone. We'll definitely hook you up because I think I'm coming to Tampa soon. So I'd love to take you out to dinner and really expand our relationship and see, not only that, see how I can help you and get you involved. Okay. All right, man. Well, good seeing you. Keep it rocking.
Likewise, man.
Thank you for listening to the I Own It podcast with Ben Reinberg. To hear our past episodes and connect with Ben, visit benreinberg.com.